Why birds in your life?
I became the Birdman. This was actually a beautiful story. I was living in Hong Kong for 3.5 years. And in Hong Kong, I dedicated my work mainly to improvisation performance. The less time I have, the more creative I am. So I limited my time to 3 days. And within these 3 days, stage set had to be ready, costume, light and sound. So it was the third day, 6 p.m., 8 p.m. the guests were supposed to come and everything was ready except the costume. I was running out of time, so only 2 more hours. But when something like this happens, I kind of opened myself and then it just falls into me. So all of a sudden it came feathers. I've never worked with feathers before, so I had no time to leave the house to buy feathers. What did I do? I ran into the bedroom, ripped the cushion open, had feathers. When I do performance, nothing is safe from me. I paint on everything or I use anything. I would use any furniture, any carpet, any whatever. So then I had the feathers and the feathers had to become a costume. I had no time to sew or do anything with it, so I mainly go the fastest and easiest way, so I needed something sticky or gluey. I could not find anything, so I searched in the kitchen, also in the fridge, and in the fridge I found a huge glass of honey. So I took the honey, covered myself completely, all over the body, the honey, stood in the cushion and took the feathers and transformed within minutes into a bird. Very, very simple, very primitive costume. It was itching like hell. I was dripping like hell. The honey was getting warm through my body, but the feathers still kept on the body. So this was my first transformation to a bird. And from my point of view, this was my best performance until then. So I only did bird performances from that day on. I usually did them in Hong Kong once a month. And I was transforming on stage from human to a bird, or from bird to a human, or I was putting myself into cages and free myself from the cages. Very often I was a bird in a cage, so I freed the bird from the cage and then I freed the bird from the bird turning into a human. So I did very often these transformation things. And after the third or fourth performance, a journalist came. He was in the audience and he wrote afterwards, "The Birdman of Hong Kong." Yeah, so this was it. I read it and I liked it and I adopted it. I thought it's cool. It's like Batman and Spider-Man and Catwoman, so I was the Birdman. And I celebrated that, so I continued bird performances and bird performances and bird performances, not stopping at all. Many variations. I was very excited actually, very exciting. And then 1 year later, after a performance festival in Hong Kong, a Chinese man came to me and he said, "You are the Birdman and you don't paint birds?" And I thought, oh my God, what a brilliant idea. I've never thought about this. I was completely focused on the performance. So I went home that night painting the first birds. And this was 1997. 1996, I became the Birdman. 1997, I painted the first birds. So I just had my 20th anniversary painting birds. And sometimes people ask me, is it not boring to paint always only birds? And I have a quite simple answer to that. It's not boring at all. I just started painting birds because each bird I paint, this world has never seen before. So each bird is unique and here for the first time. So how can this ever be boring? And I have no limitation on materials. So each bird is going to be painted on a different material, or I make birds out of different materials. So for me, each time it's completely new and completely unique, and there's actually hardly any repeating. And each bird, and this is the thing, I've painted thousands and thousands and thousands of birds. I have no clue, 10,000, 20,000 birds maybe? I have no idea. And the challenge is that each bird looks different. So, yeah. And being very simple within the birds. Because each bird is so simple. It's a triangle for the beak, it's a circle for the body, it's a dot for the eye, and 2 lines for the legs. And within this simple thing, I do variations. Sometimes they get a wing, sometimes they get 3 feathers, they get a bigger body, a thinner body, longer legs. It's